Hello everyone, this is Nele speaking for the Girl with the Curly Hair project, and today I want to talk to you about a very dreaded word for anyone on the spectrum or anyone dealing with someone on the spectrum, and this is change. Yes, change. Change is very broad. Change can be a change in the color of sheets on the bed, it can be a change in work environments, it can be a change in relationship. It can go from minor to very major, but they're all equally important to someone with autism. And we all know that. If you have a child on the spectrum who's used to wearing his Star Wars pajamas, and for some reason they get ruined, and you can't find exactly the same one, there's gonna be a lot of drama because the change is too overwhelming to deal with. As a parent or a loved one, there are several techniques and tips to help you through this. None of them are easy. But I want to explain to someone who's not on the spectrum, to neurotypical people out there, how change feels for someone who's on the spectrum. Because we all see these tips everywhere, how you need to make gradual changes, introduce new elements very gradually, let someone get used to the idea. But what does it do for someone with autism? I will illustrate this with a lot of examples, if I don't forget, and explain to you how this feels for me. If you're on the spectrum and this is not correct for you, that's okay. We're all individuals, and it's not because I feel something a certain way that someone else will feel it the exact same way. This is what makes autism so wonderful. We're all individuals. When I deal with change, sudden change, it's extremely difficult. First of all, there's the heightened sense of anxiety. My safe world simply is gone. And these changes can be very, very minimal to someone on the outside, to someone who's neurotypical. For example, a while back, the daughter of my mom's friend had something on her lung and needed surgery. After surgery, she came home and she needed one of those banana-shaped long pillows to sit her up in the bed because she wasn't allowed to lay down. And I happen to have two because I also have a connective tissue disorder. Excuse me. So my mom called me and she asked me, is it okay if my friend stops by today and picks up one of those pillows? I freaked out. That wasn't supposed to happen. Definitely not in such a short amount of time. And my entire world simply collapsed. Everything I knew to be certain all of a sudden wasn't anymore. That pillow was part of my evening routine, part of my sleep routine. And all of a sudden, that was gone. And I had no idea how to deal with that. I had no idea how to fill in the gap for that missing element. There was so much anxiety. My heartbeat started to rise. I started to sweat. I really started to stress out, feeling nauseous. And I simply didn't know how to react. And that was very difficult for me. And I know a lot of people would have said, it's just a pillow. Yeah, it's just a pillow. But to me, it's part of my world. And it's part of a world that is secure, that is safe, that is sensory steady, It's not like the world with that pillow in it would change. I could always fall back on it, knowing that would be there. And all of a sudden, it wasn't anymore. So that simply wasn't okay. That was just not done. I did give her the pillow, but it took an awful lot for me to step over that anxiety. And not everyone is capable of doing that quickly. Sometimes it can take days to get over it, weeks or months even. Change is something that just completely rips you apart. When you have something planned in your head, that plan is your safety. The world outside is very, very hostile to us. You have all the sensory input you cannot control. You have things that may or may not go wrong that you cannot control. You have all these what-if scenarios in your head because you need to know how to react to a certain situation, but you can't control it. So the outside world is very hostile. It's very exhausting. So we need a sort of non-changing safety to fall back onto. And if someone removes an element, I was going to say elephant. Someone removes an element from that world crumbles down and becomes hostile as well. That's very difficult. Another example. Last week I wanted to go see my grandmother. She lives in Antwerp and I love her dearly. But it's very difficult for me to go there because I've never taken a bus from where the train station stops to her. It takes a very long time for me to get used to the idea that I need to take a bus that I've never been on before. Very difficult. First of all, I have to take a train from where I live to Antwerp station, which is okay because I've done it tons of times and I love trains. But what happened last week is that there was a strike in Belgium and it was very uncertain if the train I needed to take would even go. So I panicked. I freaked out. If one thing's for certain, it's the trains. And that element was removed. That element became unstable. I wasn't even sure if it was going to go or not. So every other scenario in my head didn't make sense anymore. My whole route I had planned in my head didn't make sense anymore. And I couldn't cope. My anxiety became so high that I just couldn't do it. I couldn't go to the train station to actually see if the train was there so I could get on it. I couldn't do it. The anxiety was too high. There was too much change. And like I said, this change may seem minor to other people. For someone with autism, this can be absolutely massive. And I'm not just talking about trains on strike, pillows that other people need, changing cutlery, changing schedule, delays, when you take public transport and there's a detour. Oh my God, that's horrible. I've been on that. That's absolutely horrendous. Changing clothing, changing color in underwear. It can be anything. But what's definitely for certain is that when there is change, there's just so much anxiety that goes with it because our safe environment ceases to exist. And we need to create a new safe environment at such an incredible speed because otherwise we cease to function. And that's when you see shutdowns, meltdowns, when the change is too massive for someone with autism to cope. So when you have someone with autism and there is change, and that change might seem minor to you or non-significant, understand that the change is massive for someone with autism. It requires an awful lot of effort to deal with, the overcoming of anxiety and the creating of a new safe world all at once. And please understand what an exhausting process this is. And be understanding of this and supportive. This was Nele speaking. I hope this was valuable to you and I hope you have a nice day. Bye.